Gel Tin Burn Makeup with Stuart Bray. This is part 4 in our process, and in this video we're going to cover the application and blending process of our flat appliance that we sculpted and molded in the previous videos. Now this is the completed burn, and we're going to start now with the application process. And keep in mind, Stuart has a lot of good online resources on his website, which is learnprostheticmakeup.com. He has a lot of good tutorials on that, dealing more extensively with silicone and latex makeup applications. Now, we're going to start now with the application of our appliance. The first thing Stuart's going to do here is lower James's lip with a piece of silk. Now, you can get these silk strips at most beauty supply places. They're used for applying acrylic nails. Now, they have an adhesive backing, but we're also going to use some Telesis adhesive to help glue this strip down to James's lip and pull that down to create that distorted lip effect for before we apply our burn appliance. Now, the appliance will hide that silk later on, but it's a very thin layer, so it doesn't take much to blend that in. Now, Telesis works much like contact cement. We want to apply that to both surfaces that we want to be adhered, and then when we press it together after it gets a little tacky, much like spirit gum, then we get a really good bond. Now once we've anchored the lip, we'll be ready to pull that strip down and anchor that to his chin. And now once our lip is properly anchored, we're ready to apply our silicone appliance. Now the first thing we want to do with our silicone appliance is figure out where it lays on his chin. So once we figure out roughly the area it will occupy on his chin, we want to apply some Telesis to that area to lay down some adhesive so we can stick that appliance into place. Now again, Telesis works much like contact cement, so we want to allow it to dry a little bit so it gets tacky, and then we can press our appliance into place. Now we want to make sure we get plenty of coverage with our Telesis adhesive. If we don't, we might have little air pockets under our appliance. So we want to make sure we get good even coverage with our adhesive, and then very carefully press our appliance into place. Now keep in mind, this is deadened gel tin encapsulated with a cap material. The Baldy's cap material will stick very well with that Telesis. And because of the deadener, that's going to give this appliance just enough pliability to stretch and bend to form to James's chin area. Now once we've got that anchored, you'll notice Stuart is pressing that edge, that thin Baldy's cap edge, into that adhesive. Any areas that might need some more adhesive, where the appliance might have stretched a little bit, just feel free to add some more and press it into place. We want to make sure the edge is very well glued down, because now we're going to come back with some solvent and dissolve that edge. And if this appliance is properly glued down, we can dissolve that edge so that it completely disappears into the surrounding skin. Now that our appliance is anchored, we're ready to dissolve away that edge. And notice here Stuart is using a Q-tip dipped in 99% alcohol to dissolve that edge. And you can use your Skin Illustrator activator, as it is also 99% alcohol, as a solvent for this appliance edge. And it's just a good idea to use a Q-tip and lightly feather those edges in after you've dissolved away any of the excess on the appliance. Now once you've gone around the edges of your appliance and blended in those edges using your 99% alcohol, you're ready to start blending in the appliance with Skin Illustrator. Now the Skin Illustrator colors work a little different than regular traditional makeup. They're activated with 99% alcohol. They come in a solid cake form, and when you spray or saturate the makeup with 99% alcohol, it activates it and briefly turns it into a liquid, and then the alcohol flashes off and leaves you with the color bonded to the surface. Now Stuart is using a chip brush cut off, and he's dipping that in some Skin Illustrator color and flicking that on. and that gives us a very natural blending effect, and it doesn't obscure the translucency of the silicone. What we're getting is just a spattering of color that helps naturally blend the appliance into the surrounding skin area. Now, before Stuart does any further blending, he's going to blend in the lip area. Now that we have that appliance anchored, he can come back in with some thickened gel tin. Now this is just some gel tin mixed A and B 1-to-1 ratio with a little bit of thickener added. You could use Tin Thicks or Plat Thicks to this. It needs to be thickened just enough so that it works as more of a paste and not a liquid that might flow off of James's chin. And what he's doing here is spackling that around James's lip there to blend in where the appliance comes in contact with the silk, pulling James's lip down. And the nice thing about this consistency of gel tin, when it's thickened like this, we can fill in some of those areas and blend seams with it, and it's kind of a multi-purpose appliance spackle in this form. And you'll notice there he's just very, very easily spackled over that little opening created by that silk on James's lip. And once the gel tin dries, and keep in mind normally it gives you about a 5-minute working time and a 30-minute cure, but since we're working over skin which is warm, we're going to have a diminished working time of about maybe 4 minutes and about a cure time of about 15 minutes. Now for the final touches, Stuart will continue to blend the appliance with more Skin Illustrator makeup. And this is where your artistic ability will really come into play, and just being able to pick the right colors to properly blend whatever flesh tone you're working with. Notice once the outer edges have been blended in, that's when you can actually get in and start detailing the interior of the wound with a brush. And that's where Stuart goes in and actually starts to detail the lines of the burn and really accent that stretched skin and give it that fresh burn look. Now, once he's detailed that, he's actually going to extend that burn down a little bit onto the collar with still more Skin Illustrator colors. And for this burn, Stuart mainly used the Skin Illustrator palette, the main skin tone palette, and the effects palette. And keep in mind there's also a dark complexion palette that could be used if you're working with someone that's not just a basic Caucasian flesh tone. And again, anytime you're working with Skin Illustrators, brushing those on, keep in mind that your brush will always need to be wet with 99% alcohol. Isopropyl 70% alcohol will not work. It's got to be the 99% alcohol or the Skin Illustrator activator for this to work properly. And again, some of these now are some of the colors from the effects palette that can add more of the blood color to our burn. Now, to bring out the surrounding area around the burned flesh, Stuart is now going to add some charred areas to really define the edge of the burn. And to do that, he used a combination of black Skin Illustrator flicked on, as you see here, and charcoal, actually broken up charcoal. But the first step is to flick on some of the black Skin Illustrator makeup, and that gives us that kind of a powder burn effect or a charred effect right around the edge of the burn. And once that's in place, once he's defined that edge, that charred flesh burned back, he's going to add some gloss to our burn, because overall the Skin Illustrator dries somewhat matte. So to give it a little bit of a shine, we can either use KY or KY jelly or Vaseline to give us a little bit of a shine to our burn. So the next step will be to take some Vaseline and smear that on our burn and bring out that gloss. And now that we have that nice shiny exposed flesh color, that nice burned look, we'll be ready to add some crumbled charcoal just to give the illusion of burned and singed and charred skin around the edge. And there you have it. Here's our finished cut, our finished burn with gel tin made from a flat mold and conformed to James's chin. And keep in mind, you can learn more at learnprostheticmakeup.com, where Stuart has a variety of tutorials all dealing with special effects makeup processes.